We got special guests in the New York City building, man.
In the building in New York City, Andy Greenberg. What's up, Andy Greenberg?
Hey, thanks for having me on.
You're from Forbes and shit, bro.
That's right.
He's
Forbes
a tech
magazine.
reporter for Forbes.
He reminds
Fuck yeah, dude.
He reminds me of the father from Family Ties. He's doing his thing.
He looks like the dad from Family Ties.
Yo, he's cool. I was watching it.
What would we do, baby,
I don't know
without
what you
us?
guys look like. It's not fair.
I look sexy than a motherfucker, dog.
I'll just take
I
your
look
word
sexy.
for it.
I got my pants off right now. I'm talking to you with no drawers on.
Oh, man.
Just a t-shirt.
It's a good job.
Fuck yeah. I just think about that for a little minute, Andy Greenberg
Porky
from Forbes
Piggin' it
magazine. And that's right. I'm Porky Piggin. I'm teddy bearing these motherfuckers. I'm Porky Piggin' it. Fuck yeah. All right, you wrote this book called "The Machine Kills Secrets," and it's how WikiLeaks, cyberpunks, and hacktivists aim to free the world's information. All right, everybody, buckle up. We about to learn some shit.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Go ahead, teach us.
Well, you know, I met with Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks.
Who's that dude?
Julian
Okay.
Assange is this Australian hacker who built a site called WikiLeaks, and in 2010, WikiLeaks basically dumped the biggest trove of classified secrets that had ever seen the public in history.
I like that guy.
So
That guy was awesome.
But when he was a teenager, he was breaking into the Pentagon and these major companies in Silicon Valley and actually stealing information. But then he had this revelation that he could just build a system that basically asked people inside of companies and government agencies to leak the stuff for him, to just hand him the stuff. And what he figured out how to do was to protect their identity using these technologies that had been around for a little while, but nobody had seen the potential of them. So he basically set up this anonymous inbox and let whistleblowers just dump more secrets than the world had ever seen before, into the public sphere.
So it's for people that are like, let's say I'm working at the Pentagon, but I think it's bullshit. So I'm like, I'm gonna tell these WikiLeaks shit, and then I can reach out to WikiLeaks, and then boom.
That's right. There was this guy, Bradley Manning, who was accused of basically doing just that. He saw a video of this Apache helicopter in Baghdad killing civilians and journalists, and he was sort of like very disturbed by this. So he dug up 250,000 State Department cables, hundreds of thousands of military files, and just handed it all essentially to Julian Assange, but in a way that protected his identity. The only reason that he got caught is because he basically ratted himself out to a fellow hacker who exposed him to the military counterintelligence division.
So wait, he told a hacker, he was like bragging on it to like a hacker that he thought was down with him, and then the hacker flipped on him and shit.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, he was a lonely guy, and I think part of the reason that he was disturbed in the military was because he was ostracized. He was homosexual, he said, and he was trying to transition to become
like blowing dudes type homosexual, or just like wearing.
I don't know the details. He actually
like going rollerblading and shit.
He was talking about transitioning to be a woman. Actually, we know all of this is not. The military is not an accepting place for people who are transgendered or gay. So I think that was part of why he felt alienated. And so anyway, he was looking for a friend. He was leaking all this stuff and looking for a friend at the same time, and he made the mistake of confessing all these leaks to a guy he barely knew, who ratted him out.
He's not the brightest one, but what was some of the information that came out because of this shit? Like, what was some of the little humdingers that he let go?
Well, the first one was that video. That video WikiLeaks called it collateral murder, and it showed that basically this helicopter that everybody had thought. I mean, there was an investigation into the incident, and the military had said that these were Iraqi insurgents. In fact, they were civilians and journalists, and the U.S. military had killed them. That video has been seen millions of times around the world now, thanks to Bradley Manning's whistleblowing. If he is in fact the source.
Has that slowed shit up? It seems like it's just easier to kill people. Like, it's like video games killing people nowadays. You just kind of sit back and you like use a mouse or some shit, and you got the little camera and you just fuck people up.
Well, that's exactly what it seemed like in this video. We could just hear these pilots talking, and they're like, "Light it up, kill those guys," And at one point, a van pulls up of people who are just trying to help and take these wounded civilians and pull them into the van, and then they blow up the van as well. And it's just a really tragic thing to watch, And I think that that did help to make people think, what are we doing in this war? And in the end, WikiLeaks, I believe, helped to shorten the Iraq War especially when the Iraqi government found out that there were these unrevealed in the past massacres of civilians that the U.S. government had tried to cover up.
They knew what the fuck was going on,
Well,
but when it comes out, then they got to claim the shit, basically.
Maybe, yeah, who knows? But either way, they sent American soldiers packing.
Didn't they end up arresting my man from WikiLeaks?
Well, they arrested both Bradley Manning after he, basically.
He was all gay and had started like spilling his guts to some motherfucker like, I'm gay.
Well, yeah, I mean the poor guy was just looking for a shoulder, But
just let me sit on your lap, bro.
But then Julian Assange, he was arrested for these basic.
They got him on some trumped up bullshit charge, right? Like they try to say that he was like a rapist or some shit.
Basically, but nobody knows what's
That's
going on.
bullshit. They just made up some shit to arrest this motherfucker. But the cool thing is, now all that shit. He kind of gave these hackers and stuff a template, right, that they can work with.
That's right.
Is that so?
And that's what I in this book I was trying to find the next WikiLeaks. So I traveled all over the world, from like Bulgaria to Iceland to France, Berlin, to look for who was going to do what WikiLeaks did next, because the technology is still out there.
Is there anybody doing it? Is there anybody doing it?
What I found, it was it's kind of disheartening, but one group within WikiLeaks kind of mutinied to create their own group, and they've been basically a huge failure over the last year. But there's another group.
What group is that?
They're called OpenLeaks.
OpenLeaks. That doesn't even sound as sweet as WikiLeaks.
Well, who knows? But this one guy within WikiLeaks who founded that group, called the Architect, I spoke with him about how he kind of got sick of Assange's managerial style and wanted to do his own thing. But in fact, it's been a real disappointment. I mean, if you wanted to see, if you were part of the transparency movement, then there has been no replacement essentially for WikiLeaks. But there has been in small places, there have been little WikiLeaks. Like I talked with this group called Balkan Leaks in Bulgaria, and nobody knows about them, but they essentially are like a little Bulgarian WikiLeaks that's been getting all these government secrets and publishing them.
I think it's kind of cool. It kind of makes it, and it shows how powerful WikiLeaks was like how many people was against them. Like you couldn't like give money to them through PayPal.
That's right. Yeah,
there's like tons of these big people that were totally against Wiki.
Yeah, I agree that basically WikiLeaks showed how powerful it was when it, when we saw the backlash against it, and the most striking sign of all is that the Obama administration has prosecuted more leakers under the Espionage Act than any other president in history.
I know they always trying to. That's what motherfuckers always saying that he's changed. He's just the same. He's more the same.
Yeah, he's worse.
He's just beige. He's just the beige motherfucker. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I don't want to harp. I don't want to criticize Obama too much. But on this issue of transparency, in 2008, he was talking about, I'm going to be the most open president ever. I'm going to classify less things. In fact, he's classified much more than even George W. Bush. And he's trying to put all these leakers, these guys who are essentially whistleblowers in many cases, in prison. So, that's a real reversal of what he promised.
Because he's the system. He is the system.
Yeah, I think he's been co-opted, by that national security, military, industrial thing, But
you don't get to be president without being the system. I think that's just how it goes.
I think once you're in that position, you start to learn all these things, and there probably are scary things that you find out, and it's difficult to you come in talking about openness, and then in a few days you learn some stuff that you were like, wow, this can never come out. These secrets. There's so many secrets, things that I think just totally reversed his thinking about openness versus secrecy.
Man, I'm following some motherfuckers on Twitter that's like one of those hacker groups that's real popular. What's the name of them motherfuckers? Twitter.
Anonymous, right?
Anonymous. I'm following them cats. What part do they play in all this?
Well, I think that Anonymous was really inspired by WikiLeaks. I mean, Anonymous has been around for a long time, and they used to do crazy stuff like they would hack into an epilepsy forum and make it flash blinking lights so that people would like trip out and have seizures. Which is whatever. Maybe that's funny, but it's not like the most useful thing for the world.
No,
but at some but at some point,
jokes.
At some point, Anonymous, they decided to become this political force. And I think that WikiLeaks showed that the power of free information and inspired Anonymous to start, instead of just playing these pranks, they're now going out and stealing information and publishing it online. They become like a leaking force of their own. You know, for better or for worse. I mean, in some cases, it's kind of scary. Like a couple of weeks ago, they just published 1 million Apple, device identifiers that could be used potentially to install software.
What does that mean?
You could use these. Somebody could use these device identifiers to install software on like your iPhone or your iPad, unbeknownst to you.
No shit.
And that's not a good thing.
That's not cool.
Anonymous was claiming that these came from the FBI and they were trying to expose the FBI for tracking people's phones, but in fact it didn't come from the FBI. Anyway, this is like a mixed bag. But what WikiLeaks has done is just it's changed the nature of hacking. It's no longer about just stealing stuff and showing your friends and like bragging about it. Instead, you publicize it to the world. They've made leaking into some kind of like cool thing to do.
All right, we got Andy Greenberg here. He is the author of The Machine Kills Secrets, Forbes magazine tech reporter. Call up right now, 888-742-3345, 888-742-3345. And maybe you can tell us when we come back some of the changes that have been made because of all of this hacking and leaking of information. 888-742-3345. Learn some shit, y'all. Andy Greenberg and this bitch. Let's go. We are back with Andy Greenberg. What's up, bro?
Hey.
Learning some shit. He wrote a book and everything, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Fucking book writer, like with words and all that shit, right?
That's my job.
He wrote
He's
that
over
shit,
here
son.
word talking to us and shit.
Yeah.
What's the name of your book?
This Machine Kills Secrets.
And it's about like hacking and
It's about WikiLeaks and cypherpunks and hackers and activists and people who want to free the world's information.
There it is. Let's go to the phone lines, holler at some people. Let's talk to the guy that had the question whether he was for it or against it. Let's talk to that dude.
All right, we got
What's
Trey.
up?
Trey in Arizona.
Trey, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on, Jude?
Chilling.
Well, I'm listening to this conversation that you're having with this guy, and I mean, it's not. I think it sounds like he's kind of defending this activity, like glorifying this activity. I may be wrong, but I'm in the United States military. I have a security clearance. I believe that there's a lot of information that should be shared with the public due to national security, whatever have you. The president, he kind of threw a slam on the president, talking about he's prosecuted so many people for national security issues. I think he should. The thing about it is the public, the average public, should have access to certain national security issues, and these people that are hacking.
Let me ask you this. Let me jump in. What about should we be privy to seeing the military kill civilians for no reason? So at least we know what we're throwing our money at.
Okay.
Because if I'm being told that the war is for one thing, and which it's never what it's for, it's always for some fucking bullshit. But even if we're told that, and then, well, how did you feel about that thing about the leaking of the military killing reporters
That Apache
and
helicopter
civilians?
video.
Here's the thing with that. Everything is filtered. Everything that is reported downrange always most of the time, if it's going through the right proper channels, it's going to get filtered for that exact reason. I'm only a sergeant, man, so I can't say what we doing is for this or that. Until you're out there.
I hear you. Just a yes or no, though.
What's that?
But here's the deal. A lot of us feel like we're fighting an unjust war. So a lot of people are kind of for shedding light on the bullshit.
But that's the thing. Some of that stuff, you got to decipher what's propaganda, what's not. You know what I mean? Here's
so
the thing.
Are you saying it's propaganda are you saying that them killing those people was propaganda?
You don't know the
They didn't die?
The intricate details.
I don't know the intricate details.
You don't know the intricate details, and that's the thing.
God.
For example,
We know the details. We know that two journalists died, and a family was shot in this van as well. The father was killed. The children, a boy and a girl, were both wounded. I mean, it's true that that's only a snapshot of the war, but when the military claims that no civilians died in that incident, and then they were revealed to be, to have been killed on video, I think that's a worthy kind of whistleblowing. That's a fact that the public should hear, especially when we are paying over half of our tax money to the military. That's not to take away from this, my respect for the service, and I'm not even arguing that there shouldn't be military secrets, but there ought to be this kind of pressure valve, the safety valve for whistleblowers to leak secrets that do expose injustice, I believe.
Here's the thing. It's a matter of national security. Whether or not you might want to know something, curiosity killed the cat, and that's an old saying. You know what I mean? There's certain things that are done. I don't know what job you have, but as far as like what jobs you've had, but there's certain disclosures and stuff with different things, and you agree as an employee, to honor those disclosures. The same thing goes for national security secrets. Everybody in the world shouldn't be privy to the information that is deemed national security classified as such. If you want to do that, then you need to go somewhere. You need to not be a United States citizen.
The guy wasn't. It wasn't leaked in the United States. It was leaked in Australia. But I somewhat agree with you. But like I feel like you're living in a black and white area, and there's a lot of gray going on, and you're ignoring that gray. And here's the deal: you're a sergeant. You're part of the Army. You have to believe in what you're doing, or else you're just a murderer. Do you understand what I'm saying? You got to believe in what they told you, or else how would you sleep at night? I'm not in the Army, so I don't have to believe in that stuff. So you and I are going to be coming from two different places.
All right. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Hey, thanks for the time, Jude.
All right, man. Be easy, man. Take care. And that's not to say I don't hey, man, it's not to say I'm not for the Army or that I'm against the Army. I don't agree with this war. And they might say it's over, but like the effects are still going on, yo. Let's be real. Who else we got?
We got Adam in Virginia. You wanted to talk about Bradley?
All right, go ahead, bro. Adam.
Yeah, what up, Jude?
Go ahead, man. You got Andy Greenberg here. He's a smart guy. I'm just over here talking shit.
Hey, man, I hear you out, though, Jude. Like, I'm in the military, right? I understand the whole, a helicopter take out a group of folks. Some say they civilians, some say whatever, and people think that's bullshit, so it gets blasted out there, right? I kind of agree. If that's the route people want to take, I kind of understand it. But where the hacking shit goes wrong, okay, I got a clearance, the whole 9 yard security clearance, but where it goes wrong is they unleash 250,000 cables, right? Well, it's not just one video, okay? And then the other thing is the media gets a hold of that video, and it's a bad look. And some of the information they give out, okay, it hurts our further ops. It gets people killed. While I'm on the flip side of it is, man, look, there's a lot of bullshit that goes involved, But at the same sense, you can't just hack because you feel like you have the right to know.
Okay. How much is this? How much? Go ahead, Andy.
I got to say that I agree I agree with this guy. I mean, I think that that helicopter video, that was clearly the right thing to do to release that, I would say. But then when Bradley Manning, allegedly went on to dump these record-breaking collections of war documents and then the State Department cables, that did eventually put people in danger. Wikileaks tried to carefully filter out some of the names of the innocent people in those documents, but they failed in the end. They accidentally leaked this enormous cache of stuff. And a lot of innocent people were put at risk. And journalists around the world who had been sources to the State Department, in fact, they were put at risk for saying things about their governments that the governments didn't like. So that was actually Julian Assange, putting in danger the journalists who ought to have been his allies in this free information struggle. So,
all right, let's keep this shit going.
I would just say there are limits to that free information.
I agree with you. I'm just, whatever you say, I'm a co-sign for you.
Okay.
That's Andy Greenberg. Yo, who else we got?
We got Q in Miami. He has a question for Andy.
Q.
Hey guys, how's it going?
What up, man? Go ahead.
Hey, Jude, Lord Sear, Andy. I got a question for Andy. Andy, what is your, I know you talked about the Apache thing, we've been talking about the war thing, I don't mean to change the subject on that, but I want to know, what is Andy Greenberg's top 3 all-time leaks?
Yeah, well, I would
That
say
did good.
Let's say that Apache helicopter is number 3. It wasn't the biggest, but it probably had more impact than just about any other one I can think of, except these other 2. And number 2, I would say, is the Pentagon Papers, which was in 1971. Daniel Ellsberg. This is like the leak that started the whole movement of people getting, who believe that leaks are the solution to secrecy and injustice. Daniel Ellsberg leaked to about a dozen newspapers 7,000 pages of top secret documents about the Vietnam War that he believed exposed that the war was this imperial effort to control Vietnam and partnering with France essentially to prevent the Vietnamese people from having their own government, and he saw it as a waste of American life and an injustice. And that was an unprecedented thing at the time, and there really was nothing like it until WikiLeaks. And then I would say that the number 1 has got to be those 250,000 State Department cables that came out at the end of 2010. And in the end, those, maybe the biggest impact of those was what they revealed about this little country, Tunisia, in North Africa, that the corruption of the government there, that helped to spark a revolution in Tunisia that overthrew the government and set off this wave of protests that essentially became the Arab Spring, this, the whole series of protests that went through Libya and Egypt, and is still inciting protests in Syria and around the world. So
And that was all from leaking.
Yeah, I would say those are the top 3.
Yo, Andy, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know about your book and your website and where they can find you? And
yeah, the book is This Machine Kills Secrets. You can follow me on Twitter at @A_Greenberg. That's green like the color BERG. And then the book's website is thismachinekillssecrets.com. Hope you'll check it out.
all right, Andy, I appreciate you coming in and just talking with our people.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thanks.
And I want to thank everybody for calling up and just adding to this conversation. It was good to hear some insight from the other side.